Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the St. John Plan Commission for October 5th, 2022. I'm going to slow roll it just a little bit. All right.
All right. Thank
Don't
you.
sit down. We're going to stand for the pledge. Going to stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Microphone's on.
Yep.
All right. Roll call, please, Sergio.
Bob Burleson,
Here.
Yolanda Cardona,
Here.
John Gill,
Here.
Joe Gomestego,
Here.
Bob Valois,
Here.
Jason Vlasic,
Here.
John Kennedy,
Here.
Attorney Adam Decker,
Here.
Engineer Tom Nago,
Here.
Councilman Liaison Brian Blazak,
Present.
and Town Manager Joe Wizawati.
Present. We have a quorum. We can have the meeting. Next on the agenda, we have minutes. Board had time to review the minutes. I will entertain a motion to either take them all together, or if anyone has an issue with separating them, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
I'll make a motion to approve the September 7th, 2022 Plan Commission regular meeting minutes, the September 21st, 2022 Plan Commission study session minutes, as well as the September 21st, 2022 Plan Commission special meeting minutes.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Jason. Discussion?
I'd like to say something. I'd like to thank the lady who actually did the presentation, and we kind of sent her a letter on the special session that we had on the seminar.
KK.
KK?
KK,
With the-
Yeah.
Okay.
please. That was real good, very informative, terrific.
Very good. All right, Jenna, I'll put you in charge of writing a letter. Awesome. Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right. I received a request to move an item up for the board's consideration. The petitioner, I guess, is planning on a wedding this weekend and would like to move up his item so he can get to a meeting later today. So, if it is a pleasure of the board, item E, Cannon Edition Final Plat, what's the pleasure of the board to move him up next on the agenda?
Yeah.
I need a motion. Anybody want a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to move item E to the top of the agenda.
I got a motion by Yolanda, second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, you're up. So next on the agenda, we have item E, Cannon's Edition. This is a proposed final plat for a two-lot subdivision at 8167 Wicker Avenue.
Thank you, folks. I'm getting married and appreciate it.
Well, we were going to hold you up.
Hectic week.
We were going to hold you up. but,
appreciate it.
no.
Maybe you wish. Yeah. Maybe take a little longer.
Give it a
All
few
right.
years.
So, I mean, I don't know if you have any comment for the board?
Well, basically, I'm Glenn Croct, representing them, and prepared the plat. We got all the favorable comments from the engineering, and I believe we've met all the requirements. So we are here asking for final approval on the secondary plat.
All right, and I'll read to the board and to the public, or put in the record. This is a letter from Ken Kraus. It says, "Dear Plan Commission, we have reviewed the secondary plat for the reference project and have the following comments. 1, the subdivision divides one commercial lot into two lots on a total of 4.458 acres. Primary plat was granted contingent on the dedication of the town an 8-foot wide strip of land for the placement of an 8-foot wide sidewalk abutting US 41 highway right-of-way adjacent to Lot 1, and also verbiage prepared by Attorney Decker regarding a maintenance agreement for the ingress-egress easement to be placed on the plat. Both items have been addressed on the plat. 2, we have reviewed the plat and find it to be satisfactory. 3, The development fee is $1,500 and have already been paid at the time of primary plat approval. 4, the public improvements are existing and an irrevocable letter of credit is not required. Yours truly, Ken Kraus. Any questions for the board? From the board? If not, I will entertain a motion for approval, denial, and please reference finding of facts.
I just have a quick question.
Yep.
Ken's letter does reference that Attorney Decker reviewed the language, and I was wondering if, I mean, I don't see it on here, but I suspect that if Adam reviewed it, it's perfectly fine. So I'd like to see it, but if we don't have it, it's fine.
It's on the face of the plat.
Okay. No problem.
Adam wrote it.
Wrote it?
Adam, did you
Oh.
put it together?
Oh, I can't see.
I verbiage? I did. I prepared the language to be included on the plat.
Okay, it's super small, I
Oh,
can't see
I
it,
know,
but it's
I
okay.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Bring it back to the board.
Want to make a motion for approval for Cannon's addition, findings of facts, and, let me read this too?
No.
Don't
just
have
you
to.
reference the finding of facts.
Yep.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the final plat, referencing the finding of facts. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I got a second by John Gill. Discussion? Comments?
I think the only thing that, and I'm not sure if they made the Mylars yet or not, but I don't think there should be the proposed home box on the lot 2 for the Mylars.
Did you put the proposed home on the Mylards?
Yeah, generally with the top of foundation. That's kind of customary in a lot of the different communities. Just so you can know that the elevation that it should be put at. And the Mylar is sitting over here.
Okay.
Is it not a,
I mean, you're just gonna record it with, the proposed home box there, which might not match up with the setbacks, like to scale when he goes, I mean, usually,
It's just representing a home there, not exactly where it's gonna go.
okay. Yeah, that's what I mean, if he pushes it like to the center of the lot, like where it says lot 2, then you have like a discrepancy with what's recorded versus what you actually built. That's my only concern.
Would you rather have it on the side here, off the lot, and just say
I mean, yeah,
lot
if he
2,
puts-
top of foundation?
Yeah, and then just leave it
da-da-da?
blank like all the other subdivisions that come
Yeah.
in with blank
May-
lots, with just
Maybe
the
do
lot.
that.
Yeah,
well, we could add a condition, contingency to the motion to update the Mylards per the recommendation.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I'm good with
Okay.
that.
Would you
yeah.
update your motion with that recommendation to update the Mylards?
Yeah, I want to amend my motion to add, to amend the plat so that the top of foundation elevation is off the lot 2.
I have a motion with the contingency of updating the Mylards to move the proposed house from the Mylards with referencing finding of facts. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
You got a second by John. Further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 7-0. Good luck.
okay,
All
well,
right,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Just got to make those changes to the Mylar, sir.
Will do.
Okay.
And congratulations.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you guys. I'll let you know how it goes.
All right, to those here, I appreciate the patience and letting us move that for the young gentleman. Next on the agenda, we have item 5A. This is a public hearing. This is a proposed development site plan for ULOC self-storage at 10460 Joliet Street. Mr. Reddick, representing the petitioner, is here.
Yeah. Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing the petitioner, which is 41 ULOC. We've talked about this at a few different meetings. We are here for tonight for a public hearing for site plan approval. In the last, we had a BZA meeting for variances, and there's been some amendments to the landscaping plan, which I think Sergio has. We tried to accommodate the joiner to the northwest. We provided a row of arborvitaes right there that will help block his view of the project. And then at the Plan Commission's request, we added some landscaping at the southeast and northeast corners of the site to also enhance the visibility as you drive down Hart Street. So that's this was recently accomplished, and we'll be taking this up at the BZA level because we received only one of our variances, and we got deferred on that matter on the second variance. This addresses some also Plan Commission concerns with the landscaping, and then we also added the fire hydrant that was asked for at the last meeting. So we've done all that. So we want to proceed. However, we also have the issue of compensatory storage, which we found out about a little bit late in the game, that we are going to have to provide compensatory storage for the fill that's in the floodplain. So we're going to need a little bit more time to sort that out. So we're going to end up asking for a deferral tonight, but I wanted to have the public hearing since we were advertised and everybody's here for that. So
Okay. Very good. Any questions for the board? Any concerns with what I will do is open up the public hearing, and then we will keep it open so that when the updated site plan comes to study session, the public and us will have time to review, and then we will keep the public hearing open until November. So if there's any additional comments from the general public, they will have the updated plans. Joe?
I have a small question here. I received a notice, and this pertaining to the 41 ULOC, at about 3:06 p.m. today, and also 1:52. That's another letter, but at 3:06, is that the letter that you're updating, that you're telling us that you're updated some things on the ULOC?
we're going to be.
But I got a letter that you had here that you had an update on it. And that is kind of a short notice for me to look at. Is that-
Right, so that's the updated site plan based on
Right.
comments he's received. That's what we received at, and Joe, you're absolutely right. It is sort of late in the game, and that's why Doug,
Right.
the
I'm not-
petitioner,
I'm
is
not
asking,
you
we're
to-
not making any decisions
Right.
tonight.
Okay, good.
But since the public notice has gone out, and there might be people from the general public here to speak, in the past, we have opened it up just so that those that are here to come tonight for this have a chance to speak if they don't want to or can't come back in November. But the public hearing will stay open, and then as we have time at the study session to review the site plan, the updated site plan, especially with the compensatory storage, water storage, then we'll keep it open and have more public hearing in November, and then it's the pleasure of the board.
All right, I'm kind of concerned how late sometimes we get these letters, and that's
And-
one of the things that
No,
that's all, but that's the policy of the board here.
Joe, you're absolutely right. It's tough for us to make decisions when we're getting stuff last minute, and I think that's why.
And I'm not asking for that.
He's not asking for that, he's
I just
asking
wanted to
for a
provide the
deferral.
information.
All right. Thank you.
And I think, even if he didn't ask, I think we would request that as well, so.
You're a good man. You're right, too.
You made our job easy by
Yeah.
requesting it. so.
Tom, can I ask you one more favor? Sure. Can you hand me the sign-in sheet? I'm sorry, you're the closest
Surely.
one to it. You're getting the raw end of the deal being closest over there. Sorry. All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I've been notified that all the information for the public hearing, I'm sorry, is there any questions to Doug from the board before I open up the public hearing? All right. Mr. Rugg, if you want to sit down. At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for the proposed development site plan for the use lock storage facility at 10460. I do have a sign-in sheet here. I don't know if these are for the storage unit or for the next public hearing, but I will just ask if there's anyone here that wants to speak regarding the public hearing. Sir, if you would come up and for the record, state your name and address.
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane. I guess I just got a few questions regarding this development. One was, I believe, I may be wrong, but I may have misheard that. I think at the last meeting was indicated that Public Works has been mowing the grass at this corner. Is the owner still not going to take that responsibility to mow the grass? Or if not, can Public Works come mow my yard, or?
Well, Doug Blocker, if you would do me a favor, ask all your questions or your
Okay.
public comment, and then at that time, I will find out if we have an answer from any of the board members here or staff from the city. And then if there's any questions regarding the development itself, Mr. Reddick I will ask Mr. Reddick to answer those after the public hearing.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Also, during heavy rains, Hart Street would flood. Public Works would always go out and put up signs for high water. Is this problem going to be resolved, or will the street continue to flood, possibly even worse with, the construction on the site? The other thing would be is, if the developer is going to improve the site with the public improvements such as storm sewer, curb, gutter, sidewalk, streetlights, parkway trees, the entire frontage, not just parkway trees in front of his building. And if not, why not? Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? A third time, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? 1 second. We did receive a electronic comment. I will read it for the record. This is from Marcia Blocker. I'm sorry, this is Doug Blocker. I'm sorry. Mr. Blocker, but I'm just going to read in the record again. So I'm writing you with the concerns about the two proposed development projects. Proposed 2022-04 Krupp Industrial Storage Facility, Hart Street floods during heavy rains, so much that Public Work has to block off the street. What is the proposed development doing to prevent this from happening? Will the developer be improving his frontage off Hart Street and Joliet Street with storm sewers, curbs, sidewalk, streetlights, and parkway trees? I feel that all development should improve their entire frontage. Now, he does have additional comments, but that's for the next public hearing. I will read that at the next one. That is Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane, St. John. Last and final call for public comment regarding the proposed development site. Once, twice. Sergio, any last minute
We
notification?
have not received any last-minute notification.
Public hearing is now closed. Mr. Reddick, if you would please be so kind, come up to the podium. Mr. Reddick, you heard several comments from a resident regarding flooding. I don't know if you know the answer to the cutting,
I don't know the answer to that one.
but, and then also explain again, if you would be so kind, the plans for the landscaping.
So regarding flooding on Hart Street, the Hart Street lies in a floodway. It does flood, and we're aware of that. And we are adding detention for our site to store our water before it's released from the site. So we're not really going to be able to make anything better because it's a long-standing problem with Hart Street being built the way it's built. But we are certainly not making it any worse because we're providing stormwater detention. We received waivers regarding improvements along Hart Street, as far as curb and gutter, and even widening the road, because it's an existing road. So that conversation was had at the Plan Commission level. And again, waivers were granted for improving or doing additional improvements along Hart Street. We are doing the sidewalk along Joliet Street. So that is part of the project. And as far as mowing the grass up there, I have no idea who mows the grass. Have you? You haven't even closed on the he hasn't bought the property yet, so we don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
But after they do buy it, they'll be mowing it, right?
I'm sure he will, because he'll be doing the sidewalk and it'll be part of the property. I think that even the sign's gonna be over there for the project, so, yeah, that'll be maintained by the property owner.
Okay. And then if we could pull up, Sergio, the landscaping plan, just so people can review it, and Doug, if you could walk through it again, just for the public information.
Yeah, so a lot of the property will be left, in its natural state where the ditch is and where the floodway, and there's a legal drain and there's wetlands. We're leaving all that pretty much alone. But all along the frontage of where we have the new buildings, we are doing a landscaping as shown on the landscaping plan, trying to enhance that from the street perspective.
All right.
Doug, can you also just elaborate a little bit on the reason there was no widening of the road because of the floodway and floodplain and
Right, because it's
the sidewalks?
The
and-
floodway is very significant there. It's a very large area. That's perfect, Sergio. The blue, the kind of dark blue, our site is highlighted there in that light blue. But then there's a huge floodway that on the other side of Hart Street, and then it goes through our site. And typically, we try to, we're advised to stay out of the floodway entirely with any new construction, which is what we've done. We're working up on the higher ground on this site. So the floodway is very significant. The roadway's in the floodway. Technically, we're not allowed to do anything, including putting fill in there, and even putting curbs in there. So that's really why we asked for that waiver, and I thank you for reminding me of that.
When was that done, Doug, the waiver on that?
A few months ago, right? Well, I guess when we did the subdivision,
Okay.
earlier this year, for sure, Joe.
August, I think. Is that one? Might not, right.
And my personal opinion, and Tom, you may agree or disagree, we've looked at this. I almost think that floodway is erroneous. The elevation it seems, and I'm not a long time, I don't live in St. John, but I don't know how deep the floodwaters get over Hart Street. If anybody does know, I don't know, but the flood study says it's like 3 to 4 feet of water over the top of that road. And I don't think that's ever happened. So I'm questioning whether that base flood elevation is even accurate, but that would take a whole nother major study to try to resolve that. In the meantime, we're trying to work with what we have with the published information.
And you are working on the compensatory storage too, right?
We are.
I have seen Hart Street with a couple feet of water in it.
Yeah.
And
That-
if you look at the size of this floodway, I mean, it's massive. And it heads to the west, southwest, or,
It's a real thing,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, it's massive. And I couldn't tell you the last time county came in and cleaned out that ditch. I have no idea. But you see how far back it goes and where it goes. So when you take that massive of an area and you all try to put it through literally an eighth of the size of what it is, and
Yeah,
you're
there's-
going to have flooding. So
Yeah.
therefore, you're going to see a couple feet of water sitting on the road.
I never heard how deep it ever got. I heard
It has gotten
Yeah,
pretty
we've seen
deep.
cars stuck over the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
You
there.
have?
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
it-
well,
it
that
gets-
answered that question, then.
Yeah.
But Doug, I think for the board and for the general public, we just want to make sure that your development, the non-pervious pavement, will not cause additional.
No, we're compensating for that in our stormwater detention basins. We have 2 basins.
And I know our town engineer will review that to make sure that's accurate, so. Perfect. Questions, comments? So I am not, I did close the public hearing.
You did, Mr. Chairman. I would recommend that you consider action tonight, a vote to hold or to allow for the hearing to be opened at the next meeting.
So, board members, I'm sorry, I closed the public hearing, so can I get a motion that we?
I'll make a motion to reopen the public hearing at the next
Reopen.
meeting.
Cover me, thank you, I appreciate that, John. Is there a second? A second. Discussion, again, I apologize for closing that, was a little
No.
quick on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing will remain open, thank you for, and I caught that too late, so,
Yeah.
awesome. Any more questions? We'll let Doug go, Mr. Reddick go? Very good, sir, we'll
Thank
see you at the study session.
We'll be back.
Awesome. Next on the agenda, we have another public hearing. We have a public hearing for Lot 898, the Gates of St. John, Unit 7A. I've been notified that public hearing requirements have been met. Up to the podium is Mr. Kill. Mr. Kill, how are you, sir?
Good. How's everybody tonight? Thank you. Steve Kill representing LBL, Mr. Lawton, and pretty much all those other entities that he has. So this is actually just, there's really been no amendment to the initial request. It was simply to subdivide the one large lot, Lot 898, into two lots. I can tell you that this lot, I think I'll give you a little history. When the Gates of St. John was originally approved and the annexation agreement was approved, this lot was in fact two lots. And it's in the original annexation documents that I have with me tonight. That I'd be happy to show everybody, but after the annexation was approved, one of the owners of the Gates, it's BLB, stands for Boomsma, Lawton, and Boomsma. Bruce Boomsma was going to build his personal home there. He passed away. So that lot kind of just sat. So now, Mr. Lawton and the other Mr. Boomsma, Brian, basically this is a request just to restore it back to what was originally approved. Just kind of a little history on what happened, and this was back in 2005, and I was kind of like right in the middle of it back then, so that's just kind of a little history behind it. The original request remains unchanged from what we discussed at the study session. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Kill?
Are all the lots there approximately a third of an acre around that area, plus or minus?
Yeah, I think Mr. Nagel has pointed that out in his letter, Joe.
I have a letter that I'll read into the record. All right. I don't know, Tom, are you looking for that information, or is it's in the letter that I'm about to read?
Yes, sir, it's in the letter.
Very good. All right. I'll read the
So,
letter,
pretty
and then if
close,
there's any additional more questions. Dear Planning Commission, Robinson Engineering has reviewed the information supplied for the above subject title 2022-14, Lot 898, the Gates of St. John, Unit 7A. The developer has informed the board that they would like to subdivide one large lot, Lot 898, into two smaller lots. The property is currently zoned R2 PUD. The current property size is 0.72 acres. The proposed subdivision lots are Lot 898 is 0.38 acres. Lot 901 is 0.33 acres. For comparison, the majority of the lots on the Silver Maple Cove range from approximately 0.036 acres to 0.49 acres. We have reviewed the request and we offer the following comments. 1, the engineering review for this project appears to be acceptable with the following caveats. All zoning code regulations associated with the R2 PUD be adhered to. A new grading plan shall be supplied after the design of the footprint of the homes are established. The new grading plan shall follow the intent of the original grading plan. A new sanitary sewer service and water service shall be installed. We are assuming there is currently an existing sanitary sewer and water service line for the large lot. Shared sewer and water service lines are not allowed. Sewer and water service line construction plans shall be submitted with the building permit of the future home. Open cutting of the roadway shall be minimized. The plat review for this project shall be an ordinance St. John MC 21A-23A, $1,500. Yours truly, Tom Nagel from Robinson Engineering. So acreage is from 0.36 to close to half acre. Questions from the board? Mr. Kell, just one question. It's my high school math, 0.72. Is there a reason why we can't split them into 0.36 even? So the lots, I don't know if there's I don't know if there's a reason why one lot is 0.05 acres less. I'm just seeing what the.
Well, I can tell you, we kind of took a look at that, but in order to do that, we would have to redraw, obviously, we're going to have to redraw the center lot line, which is going to affect the curb front footage. These homes are going to be obviously custom homes between $900,000 and $1.5 million. We really didn't want to make that curb front footage any tighter than we really had to, because I mean, people that are gonna buy these type of homes expect to be able to have a little room for their driveway and everything, so that would have affected our curb front footage, John. That's why, and I mean, honestly, when the homes are built, you're not gonna even know really where these lot lines are at. As you know, there's pretty strict covenants in Sterling Gate here. So, that's the reason though, just so you know, is
Just didn't
because
know
of
why
the
it was
curb
cut-
front footage.
Okay, I just didn't know why it wasn't just cut in half.
We took a look at that, yeah.
Okay. Any other further questions? All right, Mr. Kill, if you want to take a seat.
Sure.
At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. The public hearing is now open for Lot 898, the Gates of St. John, Unit 7A. This is a proposed preliminary replat and a request for final replat for a two-lot subdivision at 8735 Maple Cove. With that, the public hearing is now open, so I'm assuming, I'm going to read off these names if you want to come up to speak. Donald Santifort? I apologize if I mispronounced that, sir. Santifort. If you would again state your name and address for the record.
Sure. The name is Donald Santafort. My address is 8695 Silver Maple Cove. My home is directly adjacent to lot 898. My lot is 899. The size of my lot is 4.5 acres. The size of the lot on the opposite side of this lot is 4.9 acres. As we heard, which was news to me, there was originally this lot was split. I have a plot that's dated 2/24/06. It shows the lot that's there. That's the lot plan that I relied on when I purchased my home. I will tell you frankly, if this lot had been split like this, and I knew this was going to be split like this, I would not have purchased my lot. I would not have paid as much for it as I did, and I would not have built as large a home as I did. What we've got here is a contractor who's trying to make more money off the lot than he could by selling it as one lot. They had plenty of time between 2006 and 2016 when I purchased this lot to split the lot back. I'm not sure the exact date Bruce died. Bruce happens to be, his wife happens to be related to me. He was a flower girl at my wedding. So I know both the Boomsmas very well. But it is not your job or my job to enhance the value of Boomsma's estate plans, see how much money they can make. If they want to change this lot, they're going to reduce the value of my lot. The aesthetics of my lot will be reduced. Instead of having one large home with a lot of space on each side of it, you're going to have two homes crammed in this lot using the exact minimum space on each side of the house. But be lucky if we get 8 feet. A concern I have is that if you approve this today, or whenever you get around to that decision, the first thing they're going to do is come back and say, oh yeah, by the way, the covenants are too tight. I can't fit these $2 million houses on these little lots. And I think that any decision you make has to require that they abide by all the covenants that were in place when we built and my neighbors built. I would like to have the benefit of the bargain that I made when I bought my lot. And I didn't bargain to buy a lot with two houses crammed on that one big lot next to me.
Right.
So, you know, you're going to have those two driveways in that little curve there in front of the lot. That's why he can't move the center line. You know, you're cramming two big houses on one lot. The lot next to me on the proposal, I'm trying to find the right schedule here. That's only 14,000 square feet, 3.33 acres. That's the smallest lot in all of Sterling Gate.
60.85.
And they're trying to cram that, $1 million house on that lot? I don't buy it. They're gonna be bumping right up against the lot lines as close as they can get
7.
on both of those homes. You know, and they've gotta build a certain size home in there too. So, you know, they can't be coming back after you give them approval for the lots and say, oh, by the way, now I need to have an adjustment to the covenants. They better live by all the covenants we had to live by, and I don't think it's fair that we rely on these plans and what we were told was gonna be built there, and then they come back at this late date and wanna split it in two. It's just avarice on their part. That's any questions for me?
Mr. Sandiford, thank you for your comments.
Thank you for your time.
Is there a Michael Massaro? I'm sorry, sir. Michael Massaro. Mr. Massaro, name and address for the record, please.
Name is Michael Massaro. I live at 8750 Silver Maple Cove. My house is on lot 897, just adjacent to 898. I relate to Don's concerns about the lot size. I've been there since 2007. I got the same lot plans as Don did, dated 2006, and it still shows one house on that lot, which is right here. The lot we're concerned about is the lot that's 14,000 square feet. And if you take my house, with the red roof there, and you spread my house over lot 898 and their design plan, it's gonna not fit. You know, my house is 3,400 square feet on that level there. That house is built for a walkout, the walkout type lot. The house next to it could be a walkout also, depending on the elevation, but every house there is a ranch-style home, and the house that's gonna fit on lot 901, I imagine it's gonna be a tall, skinny house, which is not gonna look nice in that little cul-de-sac. I would like to see house plans to see what the design is gonna be like, because every house there is one level walkout or just a ranch-style home. Ever since I've been in the Gates of St. John, these are the plans I was sold on, this layout here. Year after year, they changed the layouts of the properties, they changed the layouts of the subdivisions, they changed the layouts of the ponds, and we weren't sold this. We were sold something else as the years came through. Setback lines, I'm concerned about with the houses. I was told the setback lines on the houses are 10 feet. I talked to Mr. Kill, and he said the setback houses are setbacks are 8 feet, I presume, with these new homes going in. I don't know exactly where they're at with the changes. And I also want to just state the HOA requirements can't be changed and due to the lot size. I don't think a large $1 million home can be built on lot 901 unless they have some other kind of a dream home they're going to put there. Too skinny. But that's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the comments. Mr. Blocker, do you want to speak? I'll need your name and address again.
Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane. Quick comment is that if you go ahead and subdivide it, you just gave this developer $100,000 for creating another lot. My real issue, though, is I'm asking you to table this matter until the developer takes over his responsibilities as a developer of the Gates subdivision. What I'm referring to would be, you go through the gates, there's sidewalks missing all over the place that should have been installed years ago. As an example, Park Place between 105th and 107th. On the east side of Park Place, no sidewalk. You even think it showed, it didn't show in this one, but you see it there where it stops by the residents and then no sidewalk. The church didn't put a sidewalk in, don't know why, but the developer should be responsible for putting the sidewalks in. You go to 105th Street, both sides of the street, between Juniper and Klein, no public sidewalks. Why not? Probably because he doesn't want to spend the money to put them in yet. I mean, it's ridiculous. The other issue I got is the streets. They're falling apart. I understand developers responsible for the streets for 2 years before they typically get turned over to the village. Doesn't come up because I think he's got a revolving bond, so it never comes before the town to say, hey, please release my bond. It just revolves over and over. Nobody fix it. I do a lot of walking. So far, I've only seen one repair made in the gates of St. John. And that was on Juniper Lane, north of 105th Street, where the street just separated. If the town would have been there, they would have looked at it and said, hey, there's only 2.5 inches of asphalt there. Well, no wonder why. It should be at least 3.5 inches. But you got subdivision, Sterling Gate subdivision, Prairie Gate subdivision, 105th Street subdivision. Those were all put in within the past 2 years. You walk it, not drive it, walk it. You'll see cracked curbs, curbs that are raised up at the inlets, asphalt that's cracked, asphalt that's sunk. And even on, I think it's Brookhaven, it's in front of the models of McFarland's models, those ranch homes. You got a hole in the middle of the street, probably about a foot in diameter. That's been there for over a year. I mean, when's the town going to make these developers be responsible for their roads instead of just town not doing about it? I'm sure this is one of your preferred developers. What I mean by preferred developer is when a developer can go in and put in public improvements without approved plans. No inspections made on improvements because no approved plans. In the Plan Commission, you guys hold a public hearing on the development and all the improvements are in. What a sham. I mean, when are you guys going to take responsibility and not let the developers tell you what to do? I mean, you know, I'm tired of paying taxes and repairing roads that are falling apart, and, you know, you just let the developers do what they want. It's unreal. Thank you.
Next on the list is Mr. Cannon, Zach Cannon.
I think you left.
Yeah, that was,
Oh,
He got married.
he's getting married.
He's already married.
all right. We do have a letter from Doug Blocker. I will read. It says, I'm writing with concern for two. We read the first one for the first crop industrial. The second paragraph reads, Proposal 2022-14, Lot 898, the Gates of St. John, Unit 7A. I would recommend that the Plan Commission table this matter until the developer does the following improvements. 1, install the missing sidewalks and the gates that should be done years ago. East side of Park Place between 105th Street and 107th. Both sides of 105th Street between Juniper Lane and Klein Avenue. 2, repair the streets that are falling apart in the gates that were installed within the past 2 to 3 years and should have a bond posted, i.e. Sterling Gate has cracked curbs raised up to the inlet, a 1-inch diameter hole in the asphalt, and asphalt sunk below the curb. Prairie Gates have the same condition along the cracks in the asphalt. As a homeowner/taxpayer, I'm tired of paying taxes to repair streets that should have been repaired by developer. See you at the meeting to protest these developments. Doug Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane, St. John. Any additional electronic comments, Sergio?
We have not received any additional comments.
Again, public comment regarding the Gates of St. John, Unit 7A, proposed preliminary plat, going once. Sir, do you need to,
May I ask a question?
all right, come up and ask a question, and then, sir, I'm gonna have to have you sit back down, and then hopefully we'll get the question answered.
Fine. I was not aware of this original plot survey or whatever that had the 2 lots in there that were split. I guess what I would like to know is, in that original drawing if it's going to be given any consideration in this decision, I would like to know the size of the 2 lots that were there in my lot and the other lots between Mike's house and 105th Street, because I suspect that part of my lot was added to whenever they, I want to see what changes were made between that lot, that plat and what we're talking now.
Very good, sir. Thank you. With that, anyone else? Public hearing being closed. Going once, going twice. Public hearing is now closed. All right, Mr. Kill, if I wrote down correctly, you heard some of the comments. I think one of the major ones is when this original plat had 2 lots and when it was changed to 1 lot. Question, the setbacks for these proposed 2 lots.
John, if you don't mind, can I show you guys this? If you mind just taking a look, or?
Yeah.
This is for.
Here, why don't you hand it to us, and then I'm going to have to have you back at the microphone.
This is for your benefit. This is the original annexation agreement of the gates. Here is the plan that was approved. I blew this up. You'll find this plan in this agreement. I just blew it up because, quite frankly, I'm getting older and it's hard to read.
Okay. So can you, if you recall, I think one of the major question is they're seeing plans in '06 that showed just the 1 lot. Can you explain? Because I was not here in '06. I don't know if any of us were here in '06.
No.
So,
I was in high school in 06.
okay.
I was here.
So if you could just give an explanation, I think it would.
Okay.
So how it went from 2 to 1 to now your request to 2.
Well, I can tell you that if you look at the drawing and you look at the annexation agreement and the actual site plan that was originally approved, what you're going to see is a number of lots with basically side yard restrictions and house size restrictions. That's what was approved. That's it.
Wait, can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I was looking at the map.
The lots that you'll see in that cul-de-sac there, you can just count them and then count what you have now. You can see that there was one extra lot. Now, that being said, the lot sizes, obviously, you're not going to see those because that was not part of the development plan when it was approved.
Back in '06.
05. That was approved in August 24th of 2005.
Which would be the Plan Commission of '05.
Which would have been the Plan Commission and Town Council back in August of 2005. And obviously, I was here and I remember the whole process because I was kind of involved in all that. But so what you're going to see is that that was the original approved plan. So basically, that's what we're going back to. We're going to the original approved plan. Now, you're not going to see dimensions on there. There's simply no dimensions on that plan. It just shows a number of lots. The lot sizes in that particular area are going to be dictated by what the square footage requirements of the homes are. And not only can you fit a $900,000, $1.5 million home on each of these lots as drawn, it's routinely done on lots much smaller than this, which I'm sure you guys have, everybody has seen periodically, through various subdivisions. So we know obviously we know what the covenants and restrictions are. There's no question about that. We're going to adhere to the covenants. They're in Sterling Gate. We're going to adhere to the restrictions. We're going to adhere to the requirements of the development plan and the annexation agreement. Engineering has already been approved. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what else I can say if I answer any other questions, but.
So Steve, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm looking at the drawing that presented '05, and it looks like you have 8 lots in there. But a little like,
5, 6, 7,
the lots were a little bit
and then you look here.
more spaced out.
1, 2, 3.
The 8 in '05, the lots were a little bit more spaced out.
There is.
So now you had this, some of these other lots now, it looks like that one lot's just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
7, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
They were more
5, 6, 7.
proportional.
They were more proportional.
Well,
To each
again,
other.
that lot was, those two lots were just made into one for Mr. Boomsma, and this gentleman says he knew Bruce, so he obviously knows Bruce passed away. And now Brian and John, they have the development, and, I mean, just like to build two big, nice custom homes on two really nice lots in the gates and adhere to all the covenants and adhere to all the requirements that everybody has to adhere to.
May I ask a question here?
Sure.
Sir? Sir, may I ask a question, please?
Yeah, or Joe, it's okay.
The gentleman that spoke before you,
Mr. Blocker or?
both, Mr. the tall gentleman. They're all
Donald,
tall.
Mr. Santaford.
Mr. Santaford. Mr. Santaford, you have a picture of what, when you purchased the property, or you purchased your lot, you said this is what we were sold, and based on this, this is the amenities, or this is where all the properties were at, right? Could you bring that up forward for me for a second? I want to ask Mr. Keel here, because, and you had a colorful one too, didn't you have a?
No, that was Mr. Mazzaro.
That one too, please. Because all of them.
The color one, let me,
Mr. Santaford, I apologize. If you could leave that up here.
Oh, I can't.
No, we're not intimidated, but just, this is all being recorded.
okay.
Oh, that's what,
This is dated 2005.
and that one is dated when?
This is probably 2005 when I was buying the property.
Okay,
This is the area in question. I believe.
all right, so, okay, that helps me a little bit understand. So you bought your property based on this market approach, is that correct?
Correct.
You too?
On the big map that I gave you.
And you're saying here that this goes out the window, and this is, your split, it will be good. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
Santaford, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm losing.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, sir.
public, gentlemen, I appreciate you were
I
asked
just
a
wanted
question
this.
by a board member. You did the right thing and presented him. Unfortunately, public hearing is closed. So Steve, you got some questions?
Yeah,
we
Joe,
just-
all that we're saying is that we are living within all of the approved engineering and all the engineering and legal requirements of the Gates of St. John. Every single thing that was approved, we're living with. We're not asking for any waivers, we're not asking for any variances, we're not asking for any variances for side yards, we're not asking for any of that. And legally and engineering-wise, we are adhering to every requirement. And that's what you consider for a plating process.
I think,
So we're not asking for any waivers from the board at all.
but you're not putting a plot, you're splitting up properties there.
Everything's there, all the
Yeah,
curves, yeah.
You're right, everything's there, but you're splitting it. And according to the marketing approach there, that the previous developer, whoever came out, and these gentlemen or these families that went there to buy, they were buying properties, investing in their future and so forth, that,
Joe, whatever marketing material, as you know, the town doesn't approve marketing material.
no, well.
So,
I'm not saying that they approve.
Yeah,
marketing,
I mean, I
but
can't-
when you
I
have a
really can't
developer
speak
come in
to-
here and telling me a story like what you're telling me here, then all of a sudden, the following year or 2 years later, you go, well, you know what? We think we could actually cut 3 properties, 3 plots in there, and just to put 3 more houses. Do you see the logic that you're giving me here?
well, I can't speak to any of the marketing material because the town doesn't consider marketing material when a subdivision's approved. You consider the legal document that is in front of you. You consider the subdivision control requirements, the ordinances. Marketing material plays no role in what the town approves. I don't know, I can't remember the last time I saw that marketing piece. I'm sure at some point in my life I did, but I couldn't tell you when, Joe, at all. And the only thing I can tell you is that what's in front of you right now is legally binding and meets the engineering requirements of the community. That I can tell you for sure.
Adam or Sergio, can you, as representatives of the town, confirm that this split meets the subdivision control ordinance regarding, I don't know if there's a, I know there's a housing size requirement, there's setback requirements. Correct me in my understanding of this, is there an acreage size requirement?
The current proposal meets the current standards of the subdivision control ordinance within an R2 PUD. That is what's being presented within those, within that code, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can add, under Indiana law, if after tonight's hearing, the Plan Commission determines that the application and plat comply with the standards in the subdivision control ordinance, the commission shall make written findings and a decision granting primary approval to the plat. If you recall my discussions in the past, I've reminded the Plan Commission that your review is really limited to our subdivision control ordinance, nothing beyond that. And if you determine that the proposed plat complies with the subdivision control ordinance, then you shall approve the application. This is not, there's really no discretion on the part of the Plan Commission if it makes that determination that it complies with the subdivision control ordinance. So that's written into Indiana Code, section 36.74707A.
And so I guess the question is that with the proposed subdivision of this, would it still comply with the subdivision control ordinance requirements? Would it still meet the minimum standards for that?
Can you repeat your question again, Joe?
With the subdivision of this into two parcels, would it still meet the requirements in the subdivision control ordinance? The minimum requirements?
If I heard Sergio correctly, it would?
It does. It meets the R2 PUD minimum standard requirements for lot division. In this case, you've got a 90-foot building line there. That's what's being proposed.
So legally, what that means is that it complies with the law, the requirements. Now, to your point, and to your point, you were sold the properties with respect to whatever marketing pieces that you were presented back in 06 or 05, or whenever you bought the property. The fact that he wants to subdivide the property, that's a whole separate issue. Those aren't, they're mutually exclusive, if you will, because you bought the property under the pretext that this was gonna be one lot. He's coming back saying, I wanna subdivide that into two lots, and it meets the requirements for that. So it's two separate issues with respect to the matter.
Right. Questions from the board? Comments?
To me, this was all approved in 05, 06, whenever it was. I see how if we don't approve it, could we be heading towards another lawsuit, or what, just my thoughts.
That's above my pay grade. Mr. Decker, could you at least comment to that? If it follows the subdivision control ordinance, and this board, it's their pleasure to deny approval, could we put ourselves in legal jeopardy?
The short answer is yes.
Yes.
The ordinance says you shall, if it's
Shall.
compliant with the subdivision control ordinance. So we have no discretion at this point, as unpalatable as it might be, because trust me, I've been
Right.
down this road before, where we purchase a home and the developer says one thing, and then a couple years later, it's something completely different to line the pockets of whoever it is that is making money off of this. Unfortunately, legally, and the way that the subdivision control ordinance and the confines that we have to operate under, it meets it, and we have to approve it. Otherwise, it creates bigger issues that we certainly don't want the town to have.
And that's where I was going with that. Thank you, Yolanda.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Yolanda. That's
Attorney on
clear.
the board.
That word "shall" has a lot to do with it. But let me ask you a question here. That same developer, he has some issues with the town because of, I think, what was stated. Is that correct, Sergio, or town manager? Is that correct that this
But it has
same?
nothing to do with.
Well, we're not talking about
discussing
that, Joe.
Okay, all right,
Soft-
so there's
Soft
nothing.
topic.
Right.
So the protection for the homeowners right now, well, the protection is they'll have to meet the other subdivision control ordinances, which is the square foot of the home, which I believe is 3,500 square feet.
Well, we're going to meet the requirements of the covenants and
So the
restrictions.
setbacks
So
and everything like that.
that is accurate, and everything that Mr. Nagel put in his letter, obviously, when a house plan comes in, there's going to be a top of foundation, there's going to be a finished grade. John, you know all the things that are required. We realize there's going to have to be another sewer and water tap, not a problem. That's pretty standard. So there's really, we have no issue with any of that. That understood, that's completely understood.
All right, if there's no other questions from the board, comments from Tom, Adam, or Sergio, or Joe, I'll bring it back to the board and discussion, comments. If not, I will entertain a motion for proposed preliminary replat. You have the option to approve, deny, or defer. I think you have that option, but.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have, and can you, Bob, if you can reference finding of facts?
Final
please.
plat, finding the facts.
I have a motion to approve the preliminary replat referencing the finding of facts. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion. And again, it's unpalatable and I don't like it, but I don't think we have a choice here. And I think that that's the bottom line. I appreciate Adam for explaining the confines that we're working under, because it is not a discretionary thing. If it was, this would have gone a different way. There's just no discretion the way that the control ordinance works. So I'll second that motion.
We have a second by Yolanda. Discussion, additional comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
I got them opposed. Any abstention? Motion carries 6-1. There's a request for final replat of the two-lot subdivision. Is there a motion to entertain a request for final at this time?
The request comes with the contingency that you would just withhold signatures from the Mylar for the required 30 days.
And the letter I read for the preliminary is the same for the secondary. So if you want me to reread that, Adam, should I reread that letter? Well, first I need a motion if it's the pleasure of the board to hear secondary or request for final.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat as well.
I got a
Contingent on the 30-day waiting period.
I have a motion to approve final replat contingent on, you're going to reference finding of fact?
I'll reference findings of facts, yep.
Referencing finding of fact contingent on a 30-day hold for signing.
What about the caveats in this letter? Or is this the reference of fact?
Yeah, that's,
Okay,
that would be one of the reference of facts, the letter.
sorry, John.
No, you're good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got a second. Comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
I got 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Jason? Very good. Next on the agenda, we have Parish Woods. We have received a request to defer Is there a motion to defer?
I'll make a motion to defer Paris Woods to next month.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I got a second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion to defer approved. Next on the agenda, we have Streamside. This is a proposed rezone for RC2 PUD, single-family residential unit. This is a proposed 54-lot subdivision. This is a recommendation to the council. This is favorable, unfavorable, no recommendation. There has been no change since the last presentation. So what is pleasure of the board, or Chip, if you, I didn't know if you needed to say anything. If not, it's. I have nothing to add further. Okay. So it is at the board's discretion. Again, this is a recommendation to the town council for the proposed rezone of Streamside. And with that motion, if you would, please reference the finding of facts.
Make a favorable recommendation to the town council to rezone Streamside to RC2 PUD, referencing the findings of fact.
I have a favorable recommendation for proposed rezone. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got a second by Jason. Comments, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain? Sergio, motion carries 5-2. No, me and Joe were no votes, just in case if you didn't get that.
2 abstentions?
No, two no votes.
2 nay, okay.
5 in favor. Favorable recommendation will go to the town council. Next on the agenda, we have Shops on 96. We got a recommendation or a request to defer. Do I have a motion to defer?
I'll make a motion to just defer Shops 96 to next month.
I got a motion to defer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is done. And then finally, well, not finally, we have Greystone of St. John, Unit 3, Block 1. This is a proposed amended address at the corner of North Quartz Lane and Black Opal Lane. Sergio, for the pleasure of the board, since this didn't come before study session, can you just explain to us what this is?
So this is a lot of record that was recorded as part of the subdivision. Typically on a corner lots, these lots of records are identified with 2 addresses, allowing the future property owner to determine which way the home would face. But unfortunately, when this lot was recorded, only one address was identified. And we're at now at the point where the current property owner would like to face the home along Black Opal Lane, meets all the requirements and setbacks. However, a address was not assigned as part of the recording of this lot, and so they're asking to do a plat of correction, which simply just identifies an address for Black Opal Lane.
So, I know you explained this to me. Do we make a motion to approve? Is it a motion to approve, or you just said it's a consent?
I would assume that the best route would be, is, because the plat was already approved, it's just a consensus to accept the plat of correction, identifying the address.
All right. So we are seeking a motion to, pleasure of the board, a consensus to accept the address change on record. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the address change for lot 305 to 10508 Black Opal Lane.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second by Bob. Discussion, comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none. Next on the agenda, public comment. Is there anyone? Mr. Blocker, please come up. Again, Mr. Blocker, name and address for the record, please, sir.
Blocker, 10591 Juniper Lane. Just got a couple, comments and so forth. Last year, November, was on your agenda to increase the binder to 3.5 inches. Nothing happened until this past May. It was on the agenda again with some other amendments. That meeting was canceled. I guess, when's that going to come up again?
So that is going to be reviewed, has not been presented to the attorney for legal review, and not all members of the commission have received a copy of those changes. So once we officially get that out to them for their consideration, we'll issue it a docket number and officially get it on the agenda for consideration.
Find it kind of sad it takes a year to get back on the agenda, but second comment I have is last February, I think you released bonds, I think on either 2 or 3 subdivisions. I guess my question is, who inspected the subdivisions in February when there'd be a foot of snow, and what improvements were done? The answer to that would, my opinion, is nobody inspected it and no improvements were done. Why are you guys even requiring bonds put on subdivisions then if you're not being inspected and have the developer make repairs? That's it, thank you.
Does anyone know the answer to that question? Who inspects?
So the inspections are being performed through the engineer of record at the time, in communication with the Public Works Department. And then that is presented to staff and then reported to the commission along with the release of the bonds and the bonds amounts.
Right, we receive a letter from the town engineer
Yes.
saying that all the requirements have been met. Okay. Just for the board's understanding.
Absolutely.
Any other public comment? Do we receive anything electronically?
We have not received anything electronically.
All right, get a motion to adjourn.
I'm just curious what improvements he was discussing, because in February I was out and about doing my job, so I'm just curious, what improvements are you referring to? Which ones? I can't hear you.
I'd be looking, well, you did 2 or 3 subdivisions. Okay.
Which subdivisions can you?
I don't remember, it was February. It was on your agenda.
February is a long month. I was doing a lot of work.
Well, it was at one plan commission meeting. So did somebody from Public Works, I guess, or the engineer go out, inspect all the manholes, inspect, see if they're.
Yes, we do
cleaned
do all
out, see if the frames have been moved.
We
see if
do
all
all
the
that
wings-
testing, and I do lift those manholes.
Okay.
I do.
Inspect all the curbs for cracked curbs that are raised up, asphalt that's cracked, asphalt that's sunk.
And as you stated earlier, there's a 2 years on that. So yes, we do go out and we do.
So is the ones in the gates going to be done then? Prairie Gates, 105th Street, the one that Tucker's doing, I forget what street that is.
Mahogany? Is that what you're talking about? Is that Mahogany over there? Yeah, there's still,
Have you guys
yes,
been out to
we
inspect
still
it?
have time to do a final out there and go out there and spray paint and make them, and do the improvements.
Because my subdivision, I live in the first phase of Orchard Gates,
You're on Juniper.
which is 5 or 6 lane, 5 or 6 years old. You swear the street's probably 20 years old. You got cracked curbs all over the place. You got asphalt in areas that have sunk 2 to 3 inches. The asphalt sunk 2 to 3 inches. I mean, they said, well, we were saying, okay, they gotta come over with the top coat. Well, we talked to the town, he said, no, town's not, that's the final coat, that's it. That's all the developer does. I mean, I don't know why you guys aren't requiring developers, oh yeah, I got a cracked curb. Well, fine, have them chip the crack out and shotcrete it. Curbs that are raised up at inlets. They'll remove
There
it.
is an issue. We don't have them pave the streets until
Oh, they're paving everything.
Later.
Binder and
till later
everything.
on. But what I'm saying is, as we come in with our plows, we ding those curbs too. So yes, we do need to make corrections to the way that we do things and
But I
have
haven't-
them asphalt.
the
And
gates-
I'm not arguing with you one bit.
I mean, in the gates, I haven't seen one repair except for the one on Juniper that I brought up on North on 105th. They patched it because the street had separated. Street separated because if you looked at the asphalt, it's only 2.5 inches thick at that area.
Mm-hmm.
So if a developer does a whole subdivision 2.5 inches when there should be 3.5 inches, you know how much money that saved them?
And we,
Gentlemen, I mean.
yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but.
No, Mr. You never be apologized. But why don't we do this? You and Bob could talk. Mr. Blocker, I'm not trying to deflect, but it might be better for we to talk offline, talk to Bob, John, the town, about the issues that you're seeing on the roadways.
I've been bringing it up for the past 3 years. Nobody listens.
Mr. Blocker, I've been on this board. This is the first time I've seen you. So I don't know who you,
Yeah, I've
Mr. Blocker,
contacted
so
Public
I
Works,
just,
contacted Building Department, contacted Town Manager, contacted Alderman. Oh, we'll turn it over to Public Works. Nothing happens. If you're with Public Works, I gave a list of Sterling Gates, of all the curbs that have raised up.
I'll
and
give you
cracked.
my card. How's that sound?
Fine. You should go and walk it someday.
I will, I'm.
'Cause I don't think anybody does. They ride down the street, okay, yep.
I know a guy who lives out there.
Am I right?
I can't answer that. I haven't inspected it.
Mr. Blocker, I think you just met two new friends. You got Bob.
The thing is, I don't want to do their job.
No,
Let them
I don't
do their
think,
job.
I don't think anyone's asking you to do their job. I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. I think you got their attention. I think the city staff does the best job. They always look out for the best interest. It's a growing community. It is growing, and I believe they do their best intentions at all time.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Blocker. Any other questions or comments? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And second?
Second.